that time again. Greetings all, Chipmunk here. Okay, so this is another in that good old series from book to film. It was actually completely spur of the moment because I happened to be at the library and saw this one on the classic shelf. This is about the book and the film, Picnic at Hanging Rock. This book was written by Australian author Joan Lindsay in 1967. It is her fourth novel. 204 pages long, and it has a dramatis personae at the front if you like that sort of thing. Sometimes it's helpful. This one I didn't really feel it was necessary, but you might like it. First, as is quite necessary I feel, a bit about the author. Joan Lindsay was born Joan Weigel on November 16, 1896 in Victoria, Australia. At age 13, she was enrolled in a boarding school near Mount Macedon and decided to attend the National Gallery of Victoria Art School upon graduation. At age 24, she and a good friend shared an art studio, and she showed her paintings at 2 exhibitions. 2 years later, she married David Lindsay, who she had met at college on Valentine's Day. Downtimes during the Depression caused her to shift her focus from painting to writing. She first wrote 2 plays, one of which had a performance, but neither of which was published. Her first novel, the satirical Through Darkest Pondaleo, was published in 1936. Her second, Time Without Clocks, was not published until 1962. In the meantime, her writing work came mostly in the form of magazine articles and newspaper interviews. Her husband became director of the National Gallery of Victoria and was knighted in 1956. When he passed away in 1976, she devoted herself more than ever to the visual arts. Overall, her writing was sporadic, with her last book coming in 1982. She was, however, working on another when she passed away in 1984 of stomach cancer. Picnic at Hanging Rock was written in 4 weeks. Lindsay stated that the novel was inspired by, among others, The Turn of the Screw. The school in the book was heavily based on the school Lindsay herself had attended as a girl, but the location was moved to be nearer the monolith that had always fascinated her. It was reprinted in 1975, and overall is Australia's best-selling novel to date. About the book. The story begins in the year 1900 at Appleyard College in Australia, a boarding school for young ladies. It is St. Valentine's Day, and most of the girls are excitedly preparing for their day trip out to Hanging Rock, to be accompanied by several teachers and the carriage driver. Only 13 or 14-year-old accounts differ even within the book. Sarah Wayborn is left behind, along with quite a few of the staff and the headmistress. Once there, the rest of the girls have a nice quiet picnic. Quiet partly because that southern hemisphere heat will get ya, and also there's the fact that young ladies of the time really weren't supposed to do anything. Now, 4 of the girls managed to wheedle permission to go exploring, and the only witnesses to their going along their way are 2 young men from a neighboring picnic who just happened to spot them briefly. Now they clamber up among the rocks higher and higher, get tired, take a little nap, then 3 of them wake up and continue on through a tight passage. The 4th sees them go, and then we don't know what happens after that. At that point, the 4th becomes terrified by something that she sees or feels, experiences in some way, and runs back to the picnic ground, screaming at the top of her lungs. They are unable to get anything out of her and unable to find the other 3 girls after a search party is mounted, and also another one of the teachers who has also wandered off. The carriage returns everybody else to the school, and a police search is mounted, and nothing turns up. The 4th girl eventually calms down, obviously, but she is unable to remember what happened. The young men end up mounting their own search, and eventually come across one of the girls at the rock, unconscious, but miraculously still alive after a full week. She recovers, but also remembers nothing of the experience. The ripple effects from this calamity affect everyone at the school in different ways, some tragic, some not so much, but the mystery at the heart of it all is never solved. The ripple effects are apropos, as Lindsay herself said. that she felt that the event at the heart of the novel was like a rock dropping into the stream with the ripples spreading outward. Now, apparently there was originally an end chapter that kind of explained the girl's disappearance, but it was dropped from publication. It later appeared somewhat in its original form as a standalone novel entitled The Secret of Hanging Rock, published in 1987. About the movie. 1975, directed by Peter Weir. An Australian film and a big hit there commercially and critically, and voted the best Australian film of all time in 1996. Joan Lindsay had approval over who adapted the screenplay, which ended up falling to TV writer Cliff Green. Shooting took place largely both at Hanging Rock and at the South Australian Film Corporation. The film's look was influenced greatly by the work of Australian impressionists like Frederick McCubbin. Original music, including Romanian panpipe pieces, was supplemented by classical music like Eine kleine Nachtmusik. Bit of noteworthy trivia. Some of the girls' voices were dubbed by voice actresses, as the girls were more cast for their appearance than otherwise. It was nominated for many Australian Academy Awards, and won a British Academy Award for cinematography. In America, it was more well received by critics. General audiences were keyed up for a mystery, but not one without a solution. However, the movie has cemented a legacy as an arty film and important in Australian film history. It has also inspired film and television auteurs such as Sofia Coppola and Damon Lindelof. My thoughts. First of all, well, the film is really quite faithful to the book, right down to the details. It's only in the last quarter that things not so much deviate as there are things cut out, such as there's a death by fire that I felt really led to the tragic end of the story. The film, however, does serve up the same atmosphere of general ambiguity, and there perhaps being greater things at work than the characters can fathom. Or not. C'est l'ambiguity. Anyway, the casting is excellent, although I felt Margaret Nelson was too old to play Sarah Wayborn. Can't confirm this though, as I can't find out much about Nelson. Overall, even if they weren't exactly what I pictured, I could definitely see the actors as the characters. The cinematography was indeed gorgeous, and the music coupled to create this mystical overlaying feeling. As said, this is a widely acclaimed novel and movie. I had heard how artistic and dreamlike the film was, and the tagline for both the novel and book is how these girls disappeared and were never found. So I was prepared, which is fortunate. Maybe I'm very American? I don't know. I've watched a lot of movies, so I've seen things in this vein. So I understand that sometimes there's not a wrap-up. There's not a real ending. And I can be okay without one. On the whole, the story just didn't do it for me. I think it seemed like there was so much on the surface, and I just wasn't feeling what was underneath. I could have used more menace. That would have made it a complete experience. Instead, I felt like I was missing something. Was that how I was supposed to feel? Or is that ambiguous too? I'm also not real good with ambiguity, so that could be a factor. Like, I already find life random and confusing, and I never quite know how I'm supposed to react to it. So saying, oh, this mysterious thing happened that was random and confusing, for me it's like, oh, that's life for me. But I also had a separate consideration. Nowadays, I tend to read novels and watch movies in slices, as I don't typically have time to sit down and digest the whole thing at once. And this story doesn't seem to lend itself well to that method of absorption. I believe it may have gone better establishing the whole mood if I had read the whole thing in one or maybe two goes. The movie went over better as I'd read the book and knew what to expect, but if I watched it without knowing the book, then I'd probably have the same thing to say there. So here's a pro tip for you. Learn from my mistakes. Well, that's it. We're all done. I'll see you next week. Bye! Okay. Hold on there just a minute. Okay, this is my bad. I didn't do my research enough, and it was only when I had finished writing the little script for this video and was ready to get into post when I found out that there's not just a book and a movie, there's also a mini-series. Well, so now I've got 6 more hours to watch. Yeah, I wasn't entirely happy with myself for that one. Well, I did watch it. I knuckled down and got through it. Zoom! 6 more hours. Okay, so the miniseries is an Australian production from 2018, and it stars the great Natalie Dormer as a hot young Mrs. Appleyard, who I didn't mention is the head of the school. So you know this one is going to be a different take indeed. Notwithstanding that the novel is not that long and not that in depth, so it is a given that they are going to be stretching things out and adding things in. As the 3 disappeared gals, we have Lily Sullivan, Madeline Madden, and Samara Weaving of Guns Akimbo fame, and yes, also Hugo Weaving's daughter, but she has become a great actress in her own right. And yeah, there's a lot more going on with these gals than in the book, although Miranda is still the most enigmatic overall. Madden as Marion Quaid is of Aboriginal stock, which may or may not be historically accurate as to a genteel young ladies' boarding school of that time, although the point is made that Mrs. Appleyard accepts, at least in teachers, those who may not be accepted elsewhere. But the real issue I had was that Weaving as Irma has blonde hair, and Irma is supposed to have dark hair. This is they mention that a lot in the book. But yeah, when it came to this version, that was the tippy tip of the iceberg. I will not go into everything, it's just way too much, and besides you're going to want some surprises if you go to watch it. Suffice to say, there was a lot that was not in the book, especially in the background of Mrs. Appleyard. And there's the darkness of her past, because of course there is, and how and why she came to Australia and started the school. We have things like teenage rebellion and homosexuality, and those things happened. And the fact that Mrs. Appleyard hates Sarah Wayborn, that is established, but here it's because they have similar pasts. Mrs. Appleyard is trying to distance herself from her past, and Sarah's a constant reminder of that. I feel this is a little more unnecessary because we don't actually have to understand why she doesn't like her. Sometimes it just happens. There's also a bit more that explains, if not where the girls and forgotten teacher Ms. McCraw went, then you get a better idea, like a way better idea, as to why they went up on the rock in the first place. So, if you like explanations, then this may be for you. If not, fair warning has been given. Also, this is rated for adults, not only because of the essential creepiness, but also there's some yucky deathiness, sex, trigger warning, there's sexual assault, and also a decent amount of naked butt. Never quite understood what's up with that. I mean, I don't have a problem with people's butts, I'm glad you have one, but why do I need to see it? Okay, so I'm torn about this one. I mean, on the one hand, it's been established I like more depth. I like to know how and why things happen generally and the details. That's why I have a channel like this, which I may go too far at sometimes and put some folks off. But, I mean, that's the thing. As said, the book does not have a lot of depth. It mentions bits and pieces to the mystery rarely and in passing, so that you never get a full idea of what happened, which I actually will admit is ingenious because you get a sense of the frustration that everyone else in the novel left behind feels. The book is told not just from a third-person overview perspective, but also kind of like it's pulling back farther, like it's coming from someplace farther off. Which, if you get a sense of anything from the story, that's kind of the overall theme, is something unknown hanging over it all. I haven't read the follow-up to the book, although I did read the reader reviews just so I could see if the miniseries was taking anything from that, which it apparently wasn't. But the consensus seems to be that that doesn't really add anything, and many felt that it doesn't feel like it's part of the same story. Which means that the miniseries made up all this extra stuff out of whole cloth. Happens a lot with adaptions. But as I've mentioned before, once again I'm left going, why not just make up your own story? The miniseries is well done. Gorgeous costumes, have to mention those. And it's interesting enough, but you can just feel how they're attempting to stretch it out and stuff in things to fill up 6 episodes worth. They did include a few parts that they left out of the movie, which I appreciated, but then they included quite a few more things that just didn't feel necessary at all. So it's weird, because at the end of all this, I think it's the end, I haven't found anything else that I can check out, I'm left going, I didn't necessarily care for the book or the movie because I felt there wasn't enough. But I didn't enjoy the miniseries as much as I might because there was too much. Perhaps this just wasn't the story for me. And that's fine. Check out any or all of these if you haven't. Maybe it's for you. And if you have read or seen any of these versions, please do let me know in the comments. There's going to be another long week ahead, so you hang in there, champ. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you next week. Bye now.